Lately, there have been many reports of people disappearing in less populated areas, especially in places with a lot of forest. Recent reports tell the story of a young couple who decided to go camping in a forest. They were about 10 kilometers into the forest when they found a small clearing, and in the middle of it there was a 2-story wooden house. They were surprised to see a building like that in that place. Dude, that's the middle of the woods. How could there be a house like that? They thought it belonged to some hunter or something like that. They went there to knock on the door. They needed water, and it would be great if the resident could help. But when they noticed, the door was already half open. The boyfriend stepped in front and called out, "Hello, anyone home?" But no one answered. They decided to go in and take a look around. However, at that moment, the door and window closed and the madness began. The young woman was the only one to escape. She says she went through a gap that her boyfriend made in the door with an axe. However, he couldn't make it back, according to the young woman. When she looked back, she saw him being pulled by something. She doesn't know, but they fell into the trap of a creature called Househead. It looks like a normal wooden house, but actually, it's a creature that pretends to be a house, bro. As soon as they get close or go inside, it devours everyone who's there. The only chance to take down this creature is to attack its brain, which is located on the ceiling of the 2nd floor. But it's very hard to reach that level. The easiest way would be to climb up to the roof, up there, right, Mano? But how are you going to do that? Inside there, Mano, its tongue will come after you and catch you. Don't be fooled, because Househead doesn't just stay in one place. If he sees someone nearby with his window eyes and doesn't want to wait for the guy to come in, he gets up looking like a spider and goes after his food. This kind of creature is very hard to detect because its resemblance to the case is identical, right, Mano? So be careful, my friends. James was a 5-year-old boy, the son of a single mother. He was a quiet and introverted child who never had many friends. One beautiful day, James was playing alone in his backyard. His mother was in the kitchen, feeding the family's dog, her son. When she heard her son talking to someone, the mother decided to go outside to see what was going on. When she got there, James was alone. She was confused because she had the impression she had heard someone else's voice besides her son's. The mother called him to eat. She had just made a sandwich. She asked her son who he was talking to. The boy took a while to answer and said he was playing with his new friend. The mother served some juice to the boy and asked the name of this friend. He said his name was Jack Risonho. The mother found the name odd and asked what Jack looked like. James said he's a clown with long hair and a big nose. With a black and white spiral, the mother realized that her son was talking about an imaginary friend. After the snack, James played in the backyard while his mother cleaned the house. When it was time to sleep, she put the boy to bed and kissed him, leaving the night light on so it wouldn't be completely dark, right? Since she was very tired, she decided to go to bed. She had a horrible nightmare. Everything was dark. She was in some kind of rundown amusement park. She felt scared and was running across a gigantic lawn. There were only empty abandoned stalls and game booths. The whole place looked terrible and everything was black and white. The stuffed animals at the game booths that served as prizes. They all had sickly smiles stitched onto their faces. It seemed like the whole park was watching her, even though there wasn't another living soul in sight. Then suddenly she started to hear music playing. She followed the melody to the circus tent. It was dark and the only light came from a single spotlight shining in the center of the big tent. As she walked toward the light, the music faded. She started to sing, unable to stop. Suddenly the lights blinded her. The intensity was high, almost blinding. All she could see was a small dark silhouette coming toward her. Then another appeared and another and another. She couldn't move. Her legs were frozen. All she could do was watch the eerie and numerous silhouettes approach. As they got closer, she could see that they were children. When she looked at each one, she realized they were lifeless. They had cuts all over their bodies, and some were even missing limbs. The children surrounded her and started to attack her. All she could hear was... She woke up the next morning cold and sweating. After taking a few deep breaths, she looked to the side and saw that some James dolls had been placed facing her on top of her nightstand. She sighed, believing that James had probably woken up early and put them there. She gathered the toys and went to the boy's room. However, her son was sleeping. A little later, James woke up and his mother prepared a small snack for him. "James, you put some of your dolls in Mommy's room. This morning, my son, Smiling Jack, did that." His mother didn't believe him and said Smiling Jack should keep the toys in his own room. James obeyed the order and went to play in the backyard. She went to rest in the living room and ended up dozing off. She woke up hours later. When she realized, she ran to see what her son was doing. She went to the backyard, but James was no longer there. She began shouting her son's name. Only then did she hear laughter from the street in front of the house. She ran to the gate while James sat on the sidewalk. "James, how many times have I told you not to leave the house? James, what are you eating?" The boy looked at his mother and then put his hand in his pocket. He took out a bunch of candies of all colors. That made his mother very nervous. "James, who gave you these candies?" "James, please tell Mommy, where did you get these candies?" "Jack Risonho gave them to me." "James, I'm already fed up with this damn story of Jack Risonho. He's not real. This is very serious. I need to know who gave you those damn candies." "But Mom, Jack Risonho was the one who gave me the candies." James never lied to her, but what he was saying was impossible. His mother had him spit out the candies and throw the rest away. James seemed fine. Maybe she was overreacting. After all, that beautiful couple next door might have given him the candies. But anyway, she decided she would keep an eye on James. That night, she put her son to bed as usual and decided to go to bed early herself too. Suddenly, the mother woke up. Hearing a loud noise coming from the kitchen, she jumped out of bed and ran downstairs. When she got to the kitchen, she was horrified. Everything from the kitchen cabinets was scattered all over the floor. And Fido, the family dog, was gone. Her shock was cut short by a sharp scream from James's bedroom. She quickly grabbed a knife from the drawer and ran up the stairs at an incredible speed. She entered the room and turned on the lights. Everything inside was turned upside down. "Man!" And James was on the bed, crying and shaking with fear. The mother grabbed her son and ran out of the house. She rang Tom and Linda's doorbell. The couple was still awake. They let her use their phone and she called the police. James's mother explained to the police officers what had happened. They searched the house, but all they found was a dog and the rooms vandalized. The police officer said that probably someone broke into the house and did this. Fleeing quickly when she heard her coming up the stairs, she knew it wasn't true. All the doors were locked and none of the windows were open. Whatever it was that was in the house, it didn't come from outside. The police think the mother is unbalanced when she talks about Jack Risonho, but the evidence can't be ignored. And they filed a report. The next day, not wanting to lose sight of her son, the mother doesn't allow the boy to go to the backyard, keeping him inside the house. In the garage, she finds her old baby monitor and sets it up in his room. If anything entered James's room at night, she would be able to hear it. She went to the kitchen and grabbed the biggest knife from the drawer and put it under her pillow. Imaginary friend or not, she wouldn't let anything hurt her boy. As soon as night fell, she put James to bed. She was afraid, but she promised she wouldn't let anything happen to him. She gave him a goodnight kiss and turned on the nightlight. Before closing the door, she whispered, "Good night, James. Mommy loves you." She tried to stay awake and held on as long as she could, but after a few hours, she felt exhausted. She believed that her son would be safe and that she needed to get a lot of sleep. As soon as she rested her head on the pillow, she heard a noise coming from the baby monitor. At first it sounded like interference, then she heard the laughter from her nightmare. She jumped out of bed and grabbed the knife from under the pillow. She ran to James's room and slowly opened the door. She pressed the switch, but the light didn't turn on. As she took a step, she felt a liquid under her feet. Suddenly, the night light in the room turned on, revealing. She was horrified. She heard James coughing, so she ran desperately to get him. The poor child was suffering terribly and clinging to life. The mother tried to run across the room, but then she threw up badly on the floor. Bro, from the shadows emerged the demon responsible for all this horror. Jack Risonho approached her slowly, laughing. The mother, consumed by rage, ran toward the monster and struck a blow against Jack Risonho. However, the blow went right through the evil creature, passing straight through his ghostly body. Hitting James, she immediately falls to her knees with her son and hears the police sirens approaching. "I'm sorry, James, I'm so sorry." The police soon arrived and found her in front of her son, holding a blood-covered knife. The trial was brief for her insanity, and she was committed to an asylum for the criminally insane, where she remains. She often complains that she can't sleep because, according to her, someone keeps playing the music from her nightmare under the window where she stays.